Number one, the fundamentals, mastering fundamentals and mastering
Yes.
teaching fundamentals. It's all the way when you go to the NBA playoffs, it all comes back down to fundamentals. Guys are using fundamentals to the highest level, right? The second thing is, how we communicate with the kids, right? And use different type of elements to get through to them. Sometimes it's not always the thing. Sometimes it's not always, telling them to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's leading them, right? Being a good leader, showing them life metaphors, showing them how this can affect them in their real lives and later in their life, right? And then the last thing I would say is really having a real joy and passion for the game, because you can experience burnout. It's a lot of basketball, it's a lot of practice, a lot of teaching. And you can burn out and be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But true passion and joy and peace within the game will help you overcome any burdens and trials and tribulations you may come or face.
Time out. Let me ask you this. What if the gap between where you are today and where you want to be isn't talent? It's how you're training when no one's watching. That's what this studio podcast is all about. We don't chase motivation. We don't hype potential. We build identity through habits, standards, and systems. This is where student athletes, parents, coaches, and leaders come to sharpen how they think, prepare, and perform. I'm Coach Randy, and this is the Built Different Studio Podcast. What's up, family? Coach Randy here. Welcome to the Built Different Studio Podcast, where we don't just talk about success, we train it. Mindset, systems, habits. This is where champions in sports, school, and life are made. Let's lock in and let's build. So, family, today we've got someone special in the studio. A builder, a teacher, and one of the sharpest minds in basketball, in the basketball game. Coach Stephen Jones is the founder of Build Your Way Elite, one of the most respected development programs in Southern California. He's trained high-level players, the kind of athletes who go on to the NBA, and he's shaping the next generation of every single day as an assistant coach for Campbell Hall boys varsity team. But here's what I respect most about him. Coach Stephen isn't just developing hoopers. He's developing people, discipline, habits, standards, identity. That's what he builds. Before he became one of the most trusted skill developers or skills trainers in the region, he was a D1 athlete himself at UC Riverside, someone who lived the grind, felt the pressure, and earned the right to teach the game at the highest level. And the truth is, there aren't many coaches who can speak to every part of the journey, the dream, the sacrifice, the mindset, the growth, the way he can. So today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're talking development. We're talking leadership. We're talking what it really means to be built different. Family, help me welcome Coach Stephen. Coach Stephen, welcome to the show.
Randy, I appreciate you, Randy. Thank you for having me on here. Thanks for the introduction. You're an amazing dude. I'm glad that we met and connected. Again, thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, no, you're actually one of the first coaches I'm putting on this show. And I've been told by Apple, and probably within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be on the top 25 on Apple Podcasts. So appreciate you coming on board. Before we dive in, I want to start with you, not your resume, not the highlight reel, you. Yeah. For everyone listening, tell us who you are, your story, your roots, the moments that built you, because every champion has a beginning, and we want to hear yours.
Man, I'm from Los Angeles, California. Grew up here in the Valley.
You were born and raised out here? Born and raised?
Okay. Up in the family, in the Valley. Went to Taft High School, had 2 city championships, played for Derek Taylor and Jason Hart, played 4 years at UC Riverside. I got my master's after that in business and athletic administration from University of Concord of Irvine. Worked as a manager in the corporate office at Uber for 3 years. So I worked on the corporate side for a while. And then after that, I started training, got into the basketball game, started a training program called the Jones Way. Before you knew it, I was all in on basketball and really helping out kids and giving back to the community and building programs that kids can go to and they can grow from and learn from and have the resources to go to college and then one day, either be successful in the real world or take this thing into a professional matter and play basketball long term. So I
Wow.
take a lot
Wow.
of pride in that through my journey and experiences and just giving back. And it's a passion of mine that I fell in love with.
Man, thanks for sharing that with us and sharing that with all the audience members. One thing I want to highlight, you said you have an MBA degree. I want to highlight that because there's, I think the actual number is less than 10% of the population, less
Yes.
than 10% of the population have an advanced degree like an MBA.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the sports and basketball and all that, can you
Yeah.
talk about just your background of going to school and that challenge,
Yeah.
going to school and what you were doing during that time?
Well, I went to UC Riverside, and as I
Okay.
was getting my degree, I really got into my academics, and I fell in love with just studying and learning new information. When I got hired by Uber, there was an opportunity and some space and time to go back to school and further my education. And I always had this dream and this ideal of running an athletic department and running athletic programs. So I was like, why
Okay.
not go back
Okay.
to school and get my master's? And my mom really encouraged me to do it. And one of my coaches at UC Riverside did the same program, Justin Bell, who's the head coach at Santa Margarita High School. So he kind
Okay.
of introduced me to the program, and I joined it, and it took me about 3 years to finish, and it was amazing. It was the best decision I ever made in my life.
And I can't overemphasize the importance of a degree, not just a bachelor's degree, but a master's degree. To all of our listeners, knowledge is power, right?
Yes.
Knowledge is power. I'm a big advocate of advanced or higher level education. Let me
Yeah.
shift gears a little bit, Coach. So you've worn so many hats: D1 athlete, elite skills trainer, program builder. What
Yeah.
was the moment that made you realize your purpose was bigger than just playing the game, that you were meant to build players, leaders, and people?
I think through the myths and the grinds and the trials and tribulations, I'll be honest with you, my relationship with God, as I got stronger
Okay.
and closer
Okay.
to God throughout the years, he really showed me what my purpose was on this earth, and it was to help others, and to just lift others up and give them a voice and give them a reason, to better their lives and show them how to be successful in life and pass it on to the next generation and pass it on to their peers, and just creating good people on this earth and in our communities. And our kids are so important. Our future is so important. We want to make sure that we leave this earth with a good standard and how to
For
live this
sure.
life.
For sure. And I
Continue to be
love
good
that.
people
There
as well.
are some people that are scared to say, "I believe in Jesus," right?
Yes,
And
of
and, sta
course.
and scared to promote that. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why you and I connected so well. I'm a
Yes.
firm believer of Jesus. I'm a firm believer of God.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
for you to share that on the podcast is amazing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it just really shows the character of who you are. So
Yes.
God bless you, and God bless everyone that's listening. So,
Yes.
in terms of, I want to shift a little bit in terms of like the training. So you've worked with pros, future pros, kids who are just getting started on the journey. But
Yes.
what's that one moment in your life or coaching career where you hit a wall and had to dig deeper, rethink, or
Yeah.
rebuild to get through it?
Yeah.
Everyone
So
goes through a challenge, right?
yeah, most definitely. So I started training, and I got introduced to this prep school called Southern California Academy, and
Okay.
I joined it, and it was amazing. For the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, it was amazing. We were one of the top prep schools in the country. I coached over 75 Division I basketball players,
Wow.
and that was my staple, right? And as I wanted to venture into new things and start my own thing, and I had my training going, it was a wall of how do I create an identity for myself, right? And I
Mm,
turned the
okay.
Jones way into Build Your Way. And I started with middle school teams, and that, eventually led to high school teams. And before you know it, I had a whole program. And breaking through that wall was just pretty much having the confidence to know that I'm good at what I've done, and I put in enough hours and have the confidence to know I've worked on my craft enough and I've built
Okay.
enough
Okay.
relationships that I can create something and be a leader of my own program. And I think the wall was understanding that I knew what I was doing, and I had the confidence that I knew that I put the time in to work on my craft. So I had a lot of confidence in knowing I can make your kid better. I knew I could
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
improve
Yeah.
them and have a strong impact on their lives.
Man, you're being a little humble. You said you you're doing some good stuff. You're doing
Yeah.
some amazing stuff. I've seen some of your trainings in person. You've trained
Yeah.
my younger son Logan for a couple of training sessions,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you not only know your stuff, you're a master at it, right?
Yeah.
And I really want to highlight that because there's a bunch of quote unquote skills trainers out there that
Yeah.
don't have the knowledge, don't have the expertise, but more importantly, know
Yeah.
how to connect with
Yes.
students, right? That's one thing I've seen with you on the court is
Yes.
connecting with the students, connecting with the coaches. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of like building that relationship with the
Yeah.
students that you train, student
That
athletes?
relationship is so important, right? You want to make sure that the kid knows or the players know that you really care about them and you have their
Yeah.
best interest
Okay.
and know that they're getting better. And also speaking a language where they understand that you're teaching them, right?
Okay.
Also having the enthusiasm behind it, right? Having a certain type of way about you and personality about you that kind of lets them know what type of person you are. And there becomes a joy when the kid starts to become better and there becomes this type of competition. Well, how much better do you want to get? And it's a
Yep.
back and
Yep.
forth. Are you better than yesterday? Are you better than last week? And the
Okay.
ongoing challenges.
better.
And then
Yeah.
having the relationship with the parents, right? And being transparent
Mm.
with the parents and, just making sure that you're logging the story and building a story within the kid. And that's where those relationships lie. I'll share a quick story. We had Paris Lassiter last year and,
Okay. Yeah.
he's seen a lot of growth
Played,
throughout the
he won a state championship at Alamany, right?
Alamany. And I spoke to him not too long ago and he's doing
Okay.
amazing. He's at Santiago College. And he's killing it, man. The coaches are saying how well coached he is. And he's even giving me feedback and telling me how much of an impact it was to hear the things he was hearing at that time and how it's transitioned to how he's taking that approach and that mental approach in college now. So
Wow.
hearing
Wow.
those stories, that's what this thing is all about. And I couldn't be more joyful to hear things like that and
It
continue
comes full
to build those
circle, right? And
relationships.
you've trained Paris since what? He was middle school or younger?
Yeah, since he was in middle school, since like sixth
Okay.
grade. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Mhm.
One thing I want to also dive deeper on is your Build Your Way Lead program. Again, you're humble and saying, I built a little program. I mean, this is an amazing program. Can you just
Thank
share
you.
in terms of like the circuit that you're playing on and the type of
Yeah.
competition you guys are playing now?
Yeah. So we're going into our third year, and our first year, we played independent, and we played in all the big independent events, and we would play a lot against a lot of shoe circuit teams. And we're known for beating the popular shoe circuits as we're
Okay.
newer on the
Okay.
circuit.
So you would actually beat the top level teams. Are those like 15, 16 or 17?
15, 16,
What you?
17s, usually all
Okay.
ages. And this past year, we were on the Puma circuit where our 17 group pretty much almost went undefeated.
Wow.
Really dominated the next pro circuit, and we beat a couple pro 16 teams. We even had a 15U team that beat 5 pro 16 teams. So,
Wow. So
we're
they're
on our
playing
way to
up and
greatness.
beating those shoe circuit teams.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
we're on our way to doing something. And like you said, I'm humbled by this understanding day by day. I still have to put the work in. I still have to
Yeah.
improve.
Yeah.
I still have to, enjoy this process, right? There's no finish line
Okay.
here. It's just about enjoying the process. This is how we
No,
want
I
to.
love that. I love
this
that. Is
thing.
focusing on that process. So
Yes.
I want to ask you a little bit in terms of like sharing with our listeners. We have not only student athletes, teachers, but also coaches. There's some coaches that they don't want to reveal their secret sauce.
Yeah.
What is that success? I mean, you
Yeah.
coach now at Campbell Hall.
Yes.
What can you share with coaches in terms of the path to success?
This is what I would say. Number one, the fundamentals, mastering fundamentals and mastering teaching
Yes.
fundamentals.
Yes.
I mean, it's all the way when you go to the NBA playoffs, it all comes back down to fundamentals. Guys are using fundamentals to the highest level, right? The second thing is, how we communicate with the kids, right? And use different type of elements to get through to them. Sometimes it's not
Okay.
always yelling. Sometimes it's not always, telling them to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's leading them, right? Being a
Yeah,
good leader,
yeah.
showing them life metaphors, showing them how this can affect them in their real lives and later in
I
their
like
life,
that.
right? And then the last thing I would say is really having a real joy and passion for the game, because you can experience burnout. It's a lot of basketball, it's a
Okay,
lot of
okay.
practice, it's a lot of teaching. And you can burn out and be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But true passion and joy and peace within the game will help you overcome any burdens and trials and tribulations you may come or face. Like recently, we have a new coaching change that just happened at Campbell Hall. And I think my joy and passion has just overridden, the things that we've had to go through and work through to continue to keep all the pieces together.
Yeah.
So learning that and understanding that, it's nothing like it.
Got it. No, I love that. I always have a phrase that says, master the boring, perfect the basics, right? And key fundamentals there. And that's one thing you're really, really good at. In terms of training players, you've trained players who've made it to the NBA.
Yes.
If you had to pick that one habit or system that separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't, what would it be? And how can a young athlete start applying that today? What is that one habit or a system?
And it's one thing that we preach at Build Your Way, having the ability to compete. And it's more, it's more than just competing as like I'm trying to win or it's competing to master all the elements of the game of basketball, right? And that goes into training, it goes into life skills, right? Being a good teammate, being a good communicator, being a good defender, being a good passer, being a good catch and shoot shooter, making the right play. And just understanding the game as a whole. I think those things are so important. And when you're competing, you're trying to win every single part of the possession. Not just the possession, every single part of the possession. And there's so many things
I love that.
So having that mentality is very important.
Yeah, competing in everything you do. I mean, you could take that in all aspects of life. Pete Carroll has a big mantra on that: compete in everything you do. When you become a dad, be the best dad. If you're a brother, be the best brother. If you're a sister, be a best sister, right? Compete in everything you do. Now, thanks for sharing that. I want to shift gears a little bit more into a little bit about you in terms of your story. Who poured into you the way you now pour into your players? Who helped build you? And what lesson from them still shapes you in terms of how you coach today? Who's that person?
Yeah, I always reference this. I thought I had basketball figured out until my senior year. I was a pretty good player at TAF, and we had a coaching change, and we had a coach named Jason Hart come into our program and lead our program. And I think he changed my life. He played point guard in the NBA. And he challenged me like no other coach has ever challenged me. And he showed me things that I never thought that I needed to learn and understand, and prepared me for college. And when I went to college, I started and I never sat the bench because of the mindset and the things he instilled into me and the way he challenged me.
Okay.
I'm forever grateful for Jason Hart being that person that poured into me and made me understand. And his resume speaks volumes. Being associate head coach.
He actually coached at SC as well, right?
Yes.
Right? I'm a big Trojan fan, as you know, so he's coached there as well.
Yeah.
Now, I want to dive deeper into that mindset. So a lot of programs, they say they claim to do or train skills development, right?
Yes.
They say they claim fundamentals. They say they do performance training. Everybody says they do that, but not a lot of programs talk about mindset. And that's important because whenever I see you on the court with your players, I mean, you're teaching them that mindset. Can you dive deeper into that kind of mindset preparation, kind of visualization, self-talk, some of those techniques that you share with the players?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is positive reinforcement. We've been talking about this in practice at Campbell Hall, right? Giving positive reinforcement to your teammates. Even as a coach, positive reinforcement. Sometimes I'll tell some of our players and our point guard, you're the best point guard in the state. Don't you believe that?
That's building their confidence. Imagine a 16, 17-year-old kid hearing that from the coach.
Yes. And we'll tell them that and making sure that they honestly believe it, and then they'll start playing like it before you know it. And it's this having statements like that, saying, hey, you want to be the best corner shooter in the country. And it's such a big goal. It's such a big statement to say, but it's the small things of them hearing that could boost the small bits of confidence. They'll make them make maybe 10 more shots a year, and that matters.
Yeah,
and
just because of
practice shooting more and to practice their form, holding their follow through. When you hold your follow through, can't nobody outshoot you. Or just saying you're the best defender that I've seen in years, and giving them a reference to a player that maybe has had a lot of success that you've coached.
That analogy so that they can relate.
They can relate.
They can see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now that's powerful. I mean, that's literally next level in terms of really building a student athlete's mindset, their confidence. Right? You give a kid confidence, I mean, they'll run through a wall for you, right?
Yes.
So Coach, you've seen where the game is going, the talent, the pressure, the opportunities. What's that one kind of standard you want the next generation of athletes to carry? Something that would truly make them be built different. What is that you want to share with the next generation athlete? What is that standard? What's like the most important thing?
Yeah, to me, what I see the trend of going on into these next generation of kids that are coming up is maintaining the standard of accountability. Taking to
love it. Yes.
When I fail, which everyone's going to fail to have success, I can take accountability, right? I know how to resolve my own conflict, and I know how to resolve conflicts with others. I don't go into individualism and make it about me and where I need to go. Because at the end of the day, we all need a team to make us go where we need to go. We all need other people to vouch for us. We should never have to speak up for ourselves. It's always word of mouth of character. I really, truly believe that's how my program was built, off of word of mouth. It was never about me going to this parent or this kid and posting on Instagram or online. It was always about, what is this person's character? And do I want to be around this person?
Okay.
That comes down to accountability. And when you take accountability, you experience self-growth, right? And when that happens over and over consistently, before you know it, you have good character. And that's what I don't want the new, future kids to lose that accountability and to lose that character because maybe of NIL money, and that's what they're chasing. That's individualism, right? Yeah. We still want to chase team and team concepts and team championships and winning.
No, that's important. No, yes. I love that. That's something that's very important. And I try to also emphasize that with all of my players. It's just being held accountable. I mean, even to the level of detail. I have practice later tonight and preparation before our tournament game. If you don't come to practice, you don't play, plain and simple. Right. Yes. And there's some coaches that make excuses for that, but nonetheless, that's their priority. So, Coach Stephen, before we close, I want to ask you or give us some insight about Campbell Hall basketball in terms of upcoming tournaments, how competitive you guys are going to be, the noise you guys are going to make. Just give us some background of, your coaching experience there and the team at Campbell Hall.
Yeah, quick snippet. I mean, I was previously at Alamany High School, loved it there. That's where we met. And Campbell Hall has been a joy. Different type of school, different type of environment. I think we have a really strong young team. And with our new coach, we are trying to put the pieces together and fix something in a short amount of time. And as we're doing that, I think we've been written off a little bit because of the changing of the coaching. And
remind me what league you guys play in?
We are in the Gold Coast League. So we play with
what other teams are in that league?
Yeah, Windward, Viewpoint. And I think our team is starting to really mesh and come together, and we're going to come together at the right times. And we're going to be a team to really look out for, in the times of late January going into February. I think that we're really going to be a sleeper team that kind of sneaks up on people and like, wow, where did they come from? But we've really been putting in the work, really been trying to get these kids up to speed with the things they need to learn and grasp, and also the process of development. So we have 3 tournaments coming up. We got Tarkanian Classic, Damien Classic, and then we have Nike Tournament of Champions in Arizona.
Those are all top-level tournaments, right? You guys aren't shying away.
3 weeks in a row. And I'm excited for the challenge. This is what we live for. This is what we do this thing for. And it's all about growth, right? Win or lose, we want to grow. We want to improve. We want to be better.
Oh, man. Thanks for sharing that. Much continued success with Campbell Hall. I can't wait to see you on the court again and hearing you yell, squeeze, 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 flow, flow, flow. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's the offensive set and the defensive transition. So family, what a conversation. Coach Stephen Jones didn't just drop knowledge today. He opened a window into what it truly looks like to build leaders, build athletes, and build character. Yeah. I've watched this man's evolution from coaching side by side with him, being a D1 athlete, grinding at UC Riverside to becoming one of the most respected skill developers and program builders in the game. I had the pleasure of coaching with Coach Steven at Alamany High School at one of the most, if not the most competitive league in the U.S., the Mission League. Yes, and what he shared today is proof that greatness isn't manufactured. It's developed, right? It's shaped. It's built rep by rep, decision by decision, standard by standard. I mean, his program exemplifies that. Build your way elite. Coach Steven, I appreciate you not just for what you've done on the court, but for who you are off it. The game needs more players, more builders, more coaches just like you. And for everyone listening, take this episode with you. If you're an athlete, apply the habits Coach Steven shared. If you're a parent, understand the journey. If you're a coach, raise that standard. Because stories like Coach Steven's remind us that the right mindset and the right guidance can change a life. Share this episode with someone who needs it, a teammate, a coach, a player, a parent. Let his message ripple. Family, you already know what it is. It's success isn't luck. It isn't talent alone. It's built. This is built different. And today, we just got better. I love you all. Keep showing up, keep leading, and keep choosing to be built different. Thank you, Coach Steven. I really appreciate your time. We'll keep in touch. Good luck in the season, and love you.
God bless. Love you too. Appreciate you, brother. God bless. Have a good
Remember this, family. Talent might open the door, but your mindset, your habits, and your discipline decide how far you go. So keep showing up, keep building, and keep choosing the harder road, because that's the one that makes you built different. I'm Coach Randy, and this is the Built Different Studio Podcast.